Assets over Aesthetics. Stop Flexing, Start Multiplying. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. The man in the velvet loafers stood beside a rented Lamborghini, camera angled just right. Caption: Work hard, play harder. What he didn't post. The credit card debt, the borrowed car, the apartment he could barely afford. That photo got 2,437 likes. It also cost him 5 years of financial freedom. In today's world, perception is currency, and many are bankrupting their future to buy it. We've confused luxury with legacy, mistaking applause for assets. Social media has made it easy to look successful and dangerously easy to ignore what real success requires. As Warren Buffett once said, "If you buy things you don't need, you'll soon sell things you do." But that warning gets drowned out in a culture that glorifies the grind yet hides the consequences. This book isn't a scolding. It's a shift. It's a blueprint for those tired of chasing dopamine in shopping carts and ready to start stacking something that lasts. Because here's the truth: the quietest people in the room often hold the most power. Their money doesn't scream, it multiplies. You won't find hype here. Just clarity. You'll learn how to trade temporary clout for long-term control. How to build instead of burn. Multiply instead of perform. This isn't about living cheap. It's about living free. The question isn't, can you afford it? It's, can your future afford that flex? Let's find out. And let's start multiplying. Chapter 1: The Illusion of Wealth. He walked into the club like he owned it, wrist iced out, shoes spotless, cologne loud enough to announce his entrance. Bottles popped. Stories posted. For a few hours he was the moment. But when the lights came on and the receipts hit, reality sobered faster than the alcohol ever could. Rent was late. His account was overdrafted. But the likes? Strong as ever. In a culture drunk on optics, wealth has become a performance. It's not about what you own, it's about what others think you own. We're not chasing freedom, we're chasing followers. This illusion isn't accidental. It's been engineered. Social media platforms thrive on envy loops. One person flexes, another feels inferior, and the cycle repeats. According to a 2022 survey by Credit Karma, nearly 40% of millennials admitted to going into debt trying to keep up with their peers online. The gap between image and income is no longer just wide, it's weaponized. We're applauding liabilities and ignoring leverage. The rented penthouse gets more attention than the person quietly acquiring rental properties. The leased luxury car gets more applause than the owner of a boring paid-off Camry and a fat brokerage account. Because real wealth doesn't perform, it produces. The illusion of wealth is seductive because it offers instant validation. But that dopamine fades fast. What remains is the bill. Financial security doesn't come from appearance, it comes from ownership. From equity. From assets that work harder than you do, especially when you're asleep. But here's the catch: real wealth is invisible. You can't swipe through someone's net worth. You can't filter compound interest. There's no trending sound for quiet financial wins. And that's why the illusion is so powerful. We see the costumes, not the cost. Think about it. What if every dollar you spent trying to look rich was instead working to make you rich? That's not just a financial shift, it's an identity shift. One that requires leaving behind the applause of the moment for the abundance of the future. Because while the world is clapping for performers, wealth is quietly clapping back with freedom. The most dangerous lie is the one that tells you you're behind if you're not flashy. But the truth? You're behind if your money isn't multiplying. A $1,000 designer bag may hold your wallet, but it won't build your net worth. A $1,000 ETF purchase won't turn heads, but it'll turn into $2,000 if you let time and compounding do their work. The illusion says, spend to be seen. Wealth whispers, invest to be free. It's time to unplug from the performance. To stop curating your financial failure in exchange for curated likes. This isn't about guilt, it's about awakening. Recognizing the trap for what it is. And choosing a different path. You don't need another flex. You need a foundation. One that doesn't crack under the weight of expectations. So the next time you reach for that flashy buy, ask yourself, am I paying for confidence or renting it? Because when the applause stops, and it always does, you'll either be left with receipts or results. Choose the latter. Looking rich and being rich are rarely the same thing. The illusion of wealth is designed to keep you broke and distracted. Real wealth is built quietly through ownership, not optics. Where in your life are you buying validation instead of building value? Review your last 3 want purchases. Would you buy them again if no one could see them? If not, redirect the next one into an asset instead. Chapter 2: The Flex Trap. It starts with a scroll. 1 minute you're on your couch, phone in hand. The next you're comparing your Tuesday to someone's yacht trip in Ibiza. Suddenly your life feels small. Your shoes feel old. Your car inadequate. And just like that, a seed of lack is planted. This is the trap. It doesn't ask you to think, it demands you react. A new outfit here, a weekend splurge there, all to keep pace with a highlight reel designed to trigger your insecurity. It's not fashion. It's financial erosion dressed in trend cycles. Social media has turned flexing into a sport, and the scoreboard is everyone else's perception. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that exposure to curated content increases feelings of inadequacy, which leads to increased impulse spending. Not coincidentally, e-commerce platforms now integrate directly into these apps. They don't just want your attention. They want your wallet. The flex isn't free. It comes with interest. Every treat yourself moment, every I deserve this swipe, every one-time purchase made to stay visible chips away at your future. You're not buying products, you're buying the illusion of progress. The problem is, illusions don't pay dividends. They don't generate returns. They fade, and fast. The trap is built on speed. Quick envy. Quick dopamine. Quick debt. What it avoids is the slow grind of real growth, the kind that isn't flashy, the kind that doesn't trend, the kind that multiplies when no one's watching. You can't outspend insecurity. And you can't finance freedom through flexing. There's a reason the truly wealthy rarely show it. It's not because they can't. It's because they don't need to. They understand that every dollar spent for clout is a dollar stolen from their future leverage. Flexing is expensive, not just in money, but in opportunity cost. What could that $300 outfit have done inside an index fund? What could that bottle have become as seed capital? It's not about deprivation. It's about direction. One path leads to more performing. The other, to more power. The flex trap is also deeply psychological. It feeds off a need to be seen to matter. But financial validation is a shaky foundation for self-worth. The moment it becomes your identity, you become a slave to maintaining it. Clothes go out of style. Cars depreciate. Algorithms shift. But assets? Assets don't care who liked your post. They don't need approval to grow. They're not reactive. They're reliable. Breaking the flex cycle isn't about shame, it's about strategy. It's realizing you're playing someone else's game with rules that guarantee you'll lose. The algorithm wins. The brand wins. The lender wins. Meanwhile, you're left holding a bag, sometimes literally, that did nothing but look good for a night. What if you stopped buying for the story you're telling others and started investing in the story you're writing for yourself? When you understand that flexing is a form of financial self-sabotage disguised as success, you start to question everything. And that's where the freedom begins, not with another purchase, but with the power to walk away from one. Because real power doesn't need to prove itself. And the only flex that matters is the one that buys your time back. Social media normalizes financial self-sabotage through constant comparison. Flexing is often insecurity wearing expensive clothes. Lasting wealth is quiet, strategic, and deeply personal. When was the last time you made a purchase just to be seen? Mute 3 social media accounts that trigger envy or spending impulses. Replace them with one account that teaches you about investing or business. Chapter 3: Dopamine versus Dividends. The sneaker drop went live at 10 a.m. By 10:01, his heart was pounding. He wasn't even sure if he liked the design. But the rush? Addictive. He hit purchase. Confirmation email. Victory. For a moment, it felt like winning. Until the high wore off and the shoes sat untouched, another box collecting dust, another balance collecting interest. That's dopamine. It's the brain's quick reward system, designed to keep us chasing tiny hits of pleasure. It's why a buy now button feels so good. Why likes trigger a buzz. Why impulsive spending is easier than patient investing. Dopamine doesn't care about your future. It cares about your now. But dividends? They're the opposite. Dividends are delayed. They don't spike, they stack. They don't hit instantly, they grow quietly. While dopamine is a firecracker, dividends are compound interest with a long fuse. You don't feel them at first, but when they arrive, they change everything. The problem is, modern life is engineered to favor dopamine. Algorithms feed it. Ads manipulate it. Retailers study it. Neuromarketing exists solely to hijack it. According to neuroscience research from Stanford, the brain's reward system lights up for anticipated purchases, often more than the actual product itself. That means half the thrill is the chase, not the possession. It's no accident you feel better before the package arrives than after. Dopamine spending is emotional, urgent, and addictive. Dividend thinking is logical, steady, and powerful. But one makes you broke quietly. The other makes you wealthy invisibly. Every impulsive decision is a transaction not just of money, but of energy. You're feeding a loop that's designed to keep you in consumption mode. And consumption is the enemy of creation. You can't build wealth if you're constantly feeding your cravings. Cravings don't compound, habits do. But here's the catch: your brain doesn't care about financial literacy. It cares about survival and pleasure. That's why delayed gratification feels unnatural. Why saving feels boring. Why long-term investments seem invisible compared to new toys with shiny logos. That's also why most people stay stuck. The path to wealth isn't sexy at first. There are no lights. No cheers. Just small, consistent actions repeated long enough to outperform 90% of loud shortcuts. Think of dopamine like sugar, sweet, addictive, and empty. Think of dividends like nutrition, slow, essential, and transformative over time. One bloats. The other builds. The richest people in the world didn't win because they chased feelings. They won because they followed systems. They understood that patience isn't passive, it's aggressive restraint. And restraint is where real freedom begins. You can't out-hustle a bad reward system. You have to rewire it. That means learning to crave what serves you, not just what stimulates you. To feel good about a growing account, not just a new item. To get excited when your portfolio drips dividends, not when a sale drops 20%. The real flex isn't emotional spending. It's emotional control. If dopamine is the hit, dividends are the harvest. You plant today, water consistently, and wait. Not because waiting is easy, but because the alternative is staying stuck in a cycle of chasing and crashing. This isn't about never spending. It's about knowing the cost of your cravings, and deciding if that hit is worth the holdback. Most won't choose the harvest. But those who do, they never go hungry again. Dopamine spending feels good now but costs you later. Dividends reward patience, not impulse. Mastering your emotions is the first step toward financial freedom. Which of your spending habits are driven by emotion instead of strategy? The next time you feel an urge to buy, pause for 24 hours. If the desire fades, invest that money instead. Chapter 4: The Quiet Millionaire Blueprint. He pulled into the parking lot in a 10-year-old Honda. No designer logos. No iced-out jewelry. Just worn jeans and a quiet presence. But inside his portfolio? 7 figures. Multiple rental properties. Dividend streams. No debt. Financial peace. Nobody saw it coming. That's the point. The quiet millionaire doesn't announce wealth. He builds it. While others chase applause, he chases ownership. While others buy liabilities, he collects leverage. And while others show off their income, he multiplies his net worth in silence. The blueprint isn't secret. It's just ignored. Why? Because it's not flashy. It doesn't photograph well. There's no thrill in budgeting. No rush in indexing. No dopamine in holding cash for an opportunity. But that's where the power lives, in the discipline that compounds while the world performs. Most millionaires in America are self-made. According to research by Thomas J. Stanley, author of The Millionaire Next Door, the average millionaire is frugal, invests consistently, and lives well below their means. They don't buy to impress. They buy to increase cash flow. The average millionaire doesn't lease a luxury car, they drive something reliable, because reliability is what their strategy is built on. The quiet blueprint isn't about being cheap. It's about being calculated. While status chasers drop thousands to signal success, the quiet builder puts that same money into assets that pay them back: rental income, stock dividends, business equity, intellectual property. They understand that financial noise attracts attention, but financial strategy builds options. The quiet millionaire isn't trying to win today. They're playing for decades. Each dollar is a soldier, sent to work. Each investment, a seed. Each delayed pleasure, an accelerant to compound growth. While others eat the fruit, they plant more trees. There's a quiet confidence that comes with control. You don't need external validation when your internal world is secure. You don't need to be seen when your systems are working. That's the energy of true wealth, not loud, but unshakable. The blueprint also includes one powerful trait: privacy. The truly wealthy guard their time, their habits, and their finances. They don't announce every move because they understand that attention comes with a tax. Not just financially, but energetically. The more people you try to impress, the more pressure you feel to maintain an image. And images don't pay the bills. The builder doesn't ask, "What will people think?" They ask, "Will this produce freedom?" Every decision flows through that filter. They automate their savings. They invest before they spend. They study markets instead of celebrities. They spend time with mentors, not influencers. Their group chats aren't about gossip, they're about gains. This isn't a fantasy. It's a formula. Available to anyone willing to go quiet long enough to build something loud in results. But the catch is time. And discipline. And patience. That's what keeps most people out. Not lack of opportunity, but lack of restraint. To follow the blueprint, you must be willing to delay attention for abundance. To look average for a while in order to live exceptionally forever. Because by the time they notice you, it'll be too late. You'll already be free. Quiet millionaires focus on ownership, not optics. Wealth is built through systems, not status. Privacy is a powerful financial strategy. Reflection question: would you be willing to look average for 10 years to live exceptionally for the rest of your life? Unfollow 3 accounts that glamorize flashy spending. Follow one that teaches long-term investing or personal finance strategy. Chapter 5: From Consumer to Creator. He scrolled past yet another viral video. Another influencer dancing. Another product placement. Another minute gone. He wasn't creating anything. Just consuming content, opinions, distractions. His screen time showed 6 hours. His bank account showed no growth. That's the silent tax of passive living. Consumer culture doesn't just empty your wallet, it numbs your potential. Every ad, every algorithm, every app is designed to keep you watching, buying, reacting. The more you consume, the less you create. And the less you create, the less you control. There's a reason creators own the platforms and consumers fund them. Every major brand, influencer, and business relies on one truth: most people would rather scroll than build. But every time you buy something someone else made, you're funding their dream. The question is, when will you start funding yours? The shift from consumer to creator isn't about becoming a celebrity or quitting your job to launch a startup. It's about realizing that every dollar is a tool. Every skill you learn is leverage. Every hour you waste is a seed you didn't plant. The consumer says, "I need that. The creator says, "I can make that." The consumer chases the next thing. The creator builds the next thing. The difference isn't talent, it's identity. You don't have to build the next Amazon. But you can write an ebook, start a side hustle, flip a product, license a design, teach a skill, invest in ideas, acquire digital assets. Creation doesn't require fame. It requires intent. The wealthiest people are producers. They create value, solve problems, distribute knowledge, build systems. They don't need viral videos to win. They just need consistency. And most started quietly, in the margins of their day, building instead of browsing. Ownership starts with authorship. When you create, you take back control of your time, your output, your income ceiling. You stop relying on a paycheck and start developing cash flow. That's the heart of real freedom. Not needing permission to earn. But consumer culture hates this shift. It teaches you to wait. Wait for the right time, the perfect idea, the big break. Meanwhile, the window closes. The cost of inaction compounds. The job market changes. The opportunity moves on. The truth? You don't need more inspiration. You need initiation. Even small acts of creation shift your mindset. Selling one thing online changes how you view buying. Producing one video changes how you watch them. Publishing one blog changes how you read others. You start to see the matrix. You realize that behind every trend is a strategy, and behind every strategy is someone collecting the profit. Consumers are the audience. Creators own the stage. There's nothing wrong with enjoying things. But when enjoyment becomes your only economic role, you've surrendered your power. The goal isn't to stop consuming. The goal is to consume intentionally and create consistently. Because while others are swiping, creators are stacking. You don't need permission to start. You don't need perfection to begin. You just need to build. Quietly. Daily. With the same energy others spend performing. Because when you shift from consuming the story to writing it, you stop being a spectator and start becoming the source. That's when the real multiplication begins. Consumption without creation leads to stagnation. Wealth is built by creators who produce value, not just consume it. Shifting identity from consumer to creator unlocks control and income. Where in your life are you only consuming what you could be creating? Choose one skill or idea you've been sitting on. Spend 30 minutes today taking the first step toward building something with it. Chapter 6. Money's Hidden Multipliers. He used to think getting rich meant hitting it big, startup exit, crypto moonshot, overnight success. But when he finally met someone wealthy, the truth stunned him. No jackpot. No hype. Just boring money that grew in the background, quietly, year after year. While everyone else hunted unicorns, he built compounding machines. The secret wasn't sexy. It was structure. Wealth doesn't usually explode. It accumulates. It multiplies not through noise but through patience. And the biggest multipliers? They're often overlooked, undervalued, and, at first glance, underwhelming. Take index funds. They don't trend on social media. They don't promise 10x in 10 days. But they've made more millionaires than most business books combined. They track the market, stay diversified, and benefit from the most powerful financial force on earth, compound interest. Albert Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Not because it's complicated, but because it's consistent. A $200 monthly investment in a basic index fund, at a modest return, grows to 6 figures in 2 decades. No drama. No luck. Just discipline. Then there's real estate, not the flashy kind, but steady rentals. A small duplex in a decent neighborhood, properly managed, can produce cash flow every month while appreciating over time. That's double compounding, income and equity. Or consider skills, digital, trade, or creative. Learning to code, edit video, sell, negotiate, or write copy doesn't just increase your earning potential. It multiplies your ability to spot and seize opportunities. Skills aren't just knowledge, they're tools. And the sharper your tools, the faster you build. The problem is, multipliers don't give you instant validation. They don't scream. They don't show up in your outfit or your driveway. That's why most people ignore them. They want the sizzle, not the steak. But wealth isn't built in sizzle. It's built in systems. Systems like automatic investing. Systems like setting up a Roth IRA and contributing without fail. Systems like buying assets on a schedule instead of reacting to hype. Systems like reinvesting dividends instead of spending them. These are the quiet engines of financial freedom. But the world doesn't market them. Why? Because nobody profits when you stop buying distractions and start buying assets. No one gets paid when you choose discipline. Entire industries collapse when people stop flexing and start multiplying. Multipliers work slowly, then suddenly. They're like planting bamboo. For years, you see almost nothing. Just routine. Quiet watering. But underground, the roots are forming. Then one day, it shoots up and never stops growing. The wealthy understand this. That's why they prioritize accumulation over attention. They don't chase quick flips. They build compounding portfolios. They understand that 5 years of focused investing beats 15 years of flexing with nothing to show for it. They trust math over mood. You don't need a massive income to activate these multipliers. You need margin. You need consistency. You need the courage to be bored with your wealth strategy while everyone else tries to entertain themselves into debt. This is the hidden game. And it's only hidden because people are too distracted to look for it. But once you see it, you never unsee it. And when you start using it, you stop playing checkers with your money and start playing chess with your freedom. Most real wealth is built with boring but powerful financial multipliers. Compound interest, cash-flowing assets, and skills quietly build exponential gains. Systems, not hype, create lasting wealth. Which hidden multiplier are you currently ignoring that could change your financial future? Set up an automatic monthly contribution to an index fund, even if it's just $50. Let it run quietly. Chapter 7: Clout Costs Compound. She bought the bag because everyone else had it. The logo was unmistakable. The price uncomfortable. But the compliments? Immediate. For a few weeks, it felt like elevation. Then came the regret. The bag didn't change her confidence. It just changed her credit score. That's the hidden price of clout, compounded over time. Every time you spend to be seen, you're borrowing from a future you haven't built yet. And like all borrowing, there's interest. But this interest isn't just financial. It's mental, emotional, strategic. The opportunity cost of looking rich today is the delay of actually becoming rich tomorrow. Clout is expensive, and its costs are silent. One pair of $300 sneakers could become $1,000 in the market over time. A $700 phone upgrade could have been seed money for a side hustle. A least $600 a month luxury car costs over $30,000 in 5 years, without creating a penny of return. That same amount could have covered a down payment, launched a business, or maxed out a retirement account. But the price doesn't stop there. Because once you start flexing, you have to maintain it. One image leads to another. One purchase becomes a pattern. And soon, you're curating a lifestyle you can't afford to exit. You're trapped in a persona funded by paychecks, not profits. This is how people get stuck in middle-class performance poverty, earning decent money but spending it all trying to look like they earn more. The house is big, the driveway impressive, the Instagram feed stunning. But the savings account? Empty. The investments? Non-existent. The stress? Chronic. Clout isn't a one-time cost. It's a compounding liability. The real danger is that it feels good in the short term. That's why it's so effective. Social currency gives instant feedback, likes, compliments, admiration. But that feedback fades. The algorithm forgets. The audience moves on. And all you're left with is the bill and the burden of keeping up. Meanwhile, someone else made the opposite choice. They skipped the show, kept their money, and multiplied it. Quietly. Strategically. They're not worried about image, they're building independence. They understand that reputation isn't built on what people see, but on what quietly stacks. Because while clout fades, compounding accelerates. Every dollar you don't spend trying to impress someone becomes a dollar that can start working for you. And when that dollar earns more dollars, and those dollars earn their own, that's when true freedom begins. Not overnight. Not instantly. But inevitably. Most people underestimate what a few smart financial decisions can become over time. They overvalue the moment and undervalue the future. But the future has compound interest on its side. Clout doesn't. You don't need to reject all enjoyment. But you do need to ask better questions. Not, can I afford this? But, what does this cost me in 5 years? Not, will they be impressed? But, will I be free? Because the real flex isn't how much you spend, it's how much you kept. And how well it worked for you while you stayed focused. Clout costs more than money. It costs momentum. It drains the very fuel you need to escape the cycle. So next time the urge hits to buy for applause, pause. Ask, is this feeding my freedom or financing my image? One will liberate you. The other will own you. Clout chasing creates long-term costs that compound silently. Performing wealth delays the actual process of building it. True financial power comes from invisible stacking, not visible spending. What are you maintaining for image that's quietly robbing your future? Identify one recurring expense you maintain purely for clout. Cut or downgrade it this week and redirect that money into savings or an asset. Chapter 8. The Discipline of Delay. He stood in front of the shelf, holding two choices. A best-selling book on investing and a limited edition hoodie. Same price. One would make him sharper. The other stylish. The hoodie won. The book stayed behind. 6 months later, he still hadn't worn the hoodie, but he had plenty of questions about money no one had answered. That's the cost of impatience. Delayed gratification isn't glamorous. It's not viral. It doesn't come with applause. But it's the difference between temporary excitement and permanent elevation. The ability to wait, on purchases, on validation, on rewards, is a core skill of wealth. In a world built on speed, patience is rebellion. Every ad screams now. Every notification urges reaction. Every social post says, "You're falling behind." But the people who actually get ahead are the ones who wait, stack, and build in silence. While others chase the feeling, they chase the outcome. The Stanford Marshmallow Experiment, one of the most famous studies in behavioral psychology, proved this decades ago. Children who were able to delay eating one marshmallow in order to receive two later were shown to have better life outcomes, financially, academically, even socially. The takeaway was simple: if you can wait, you can win. But in practice, delay feels like denial. It feels like missing out. Like living behind while everyone else is ahead. That's the illusion. Most people aren't ahead, they're just in deeper, running faster to maintain the lie. The moment you stop sprinting for approval, you start building real ground. Delaying gratification isn't about suffering, it's about strategy. It means choosing to fund your future instead of feeding your impulses. It means waiting until the asset is within reach instead of grabbing the liability that only looks good now. Impulse says buy it now. Discipline says build it first. Impulse says you deserve it. Discipline says you've got bigger goals. Impulse says you only live once. Discipline says you only retire once, make sure you're ready. Wealth isn't built in moments of passion. It's built in moments of pause. Every time you resist the pull of instant pleasure, you deposit into your future freedom. You teach your brain that satisfaction can wait. That reward is stronger when it's earned, not just swiped. And over time, this rewiring turns into results. That book you bought instead of brunch? It gave you insight. That course you paid for instead of clubbing? It gave you skill. That investment you made instead of another pair of sneakers? It gave you equity. None of these decisions will trend. But they will compound. And the best part? They're repeatable. You don't need a massive income. You need mastery over your emotions. That's where the power is, not in the paycheck but in the pause. Because when you train yourself to delay, you train yourself to dominate. You stop reacting. You start designing. You move from a consumer mindset to a creator's plan. And while the world burns cash for moments, you stack wealth for years. Discipline isn't punishment. It's protection. It guards you from becoming the person who always has a reason but never has results. You don't need to delay everything. Just enough to shift the trajectory. Enough to let your money mature before you spend it. Enough to think twice before you flex once. The wait is hard. But the reward is worth it. Delayed gratification is a critical skill for long-term wealth. Impulse spending steals tomorrow's freedom for today's feeling. Financial power is built by mastering the pause, not the purchase. Where are your impulses costing you opportunities to grow? Pause before your next non-essential purchase. Set a 48-hour delay. Revisit it after. If the desire fades, redirect that money toward an asset. Chapter 9. Invest like you mean it. He used to think investing was for other people. Finance brothers, Wall Street types. People with six-figure incomes and suits. So he kept his money in a savings account, watching it grow slower than inflation, believing he was playing it safe. But safety isn't the absence of risk, it's the presence of strategy. And doing nothing is a risk all its own. The truth? If your money isn't moving forward, it's falling behind. Most people aren't broke because they don't work hard. They're broke because their money doesn't work at all. They trade time for dollars and spend those dollars on things that give nothing back. That's not just poor planning, it's financial malpractice. Investing isn't optional anymore. It's the minimum requirement to stay ahead. You don't need a finance degree. You don't need to time the market. You don't need to become obsessed with stocks or learn to read candlestick charts. What you need is conviction. Consistency. A system that removes emotion and installs automation. Investing like you mean it doesn't mean chasing big returns. It means understanding small, steady returns can lead to big results. It means realizing $100 invested monthly can turn into six figures over a few decades. It means understanding that compound interest is the closest thing to magic your money will ever see. It also means investing in more than just markets. Invest in your skills, because no market crash can take those away. Invest in your health, because a medical crisis erases net worth faster than any bad trade. Invest in your network, because proximity to growth multiplies opportunities. Invest in tools that sharpen your output, in education that expands your ceiling, in assets that pay you back over time. But to do any of that, you have to get serious. You have to move from I should to I will. From hoping to holding. From waiting to wiring. Real investors don't just watch. They commit. They automate contributions. They dollar cost average. They ignore the noise and trust the math. And yes, some months you'll wonder if it's worth it. Especially when friends are showing off new toys and you're putting your money into invisible machines. But that's what separates investors from spenders. Spenders seek applause. Investors seek outcomes. Spenders see purchases. Investors see possibilities. Spenders flex with depreciating items. Investors flex with disappearing deadlines. While others work forever, investors buy their time back. And the most powerful part? It's never too late. Whether you're 18 or 48, the moment you decide to make your money work harder than you do, everything changes. You start building escape velocity. You stop asking, how much can I afford? And start asking, how much can I deploy? Your financial life isn't a lottery ticket. It's a lever. And the more you invest with intention, the more leverage you gain. Investing like you mean it isn't about getting rich quick. It's about getting free eventually. And doing it on purpose. With strategy. With vision. With faith in the process when the world tells you to spend, flex, and forget. So stop tiptoeing around your future. You don't need to get it perfect. You just need to get it moving. Investing is no longer optional, it's essential for financial freedom. Small, consistent investments outperform sporadic, emotional spending. True wealth comes from investing in markets, skills, health, and relationships. Are you treating investing like a suggestion or like the strategy it is? Open an investment account today. Start with any amount. Automate a recurring contribution and commit to consistency. Chapter 10. Freedom is the flex. He watched his coworkers shuffle out the office door every evening, exhausted, glued to their phones, complaining about bills, traffic, and the next workweek. He didn't say much. Didn't brag. But at 34, his passive income covered his life. He stayed because he chose to, not because he had to. While others chased Fridays, he controlled every day. That's the real flex freedom. Not the borrowed lifestyle, not the leased luxury, not the curated identity wrapped in designer fabric. Freedom is the ability to say no. To walk away. To choose how your time is spent and where your energy flows. It's not loud, but it echoes. It doesn't sparkle, but it shines from the inside out. The problem is, we've been conditioned to chase false flexes. To believe that wealth must be worn. That success must be seen. That if no one claps, it doesn't count. But real freedom doesn't beg for applause. It doesn't perform. It produces peace. True wealth is quiet. It lets you sleep in without guilt. It lets you leave toxic environments. It lets you prioritize health over hustle, purpose over pressure. It removes desperation from every decision. There's nothing more powerful than walking away, on your terms. From a draining job. A one-sided relationship. A deal that doesn't align. People who once flexed for attention often end up trapped by the very image they created. They can't pivot because their identity is wrapped in performance. Freedom breaks that chain. Financial freedom isn't just about numbers, it's about options. The option to work because you want to, not because you're scared not to. The option to create from inspiration, not obligation. The option to be present, not perpetually stressed. That kind of freedom is earned. Not through shortcuts, but through discipline. Through choosing assets over aesthetics. Through investing instead of impressing. Through saying no to what feels good now in service of what sets you free later. And here's what most won't admit, freedom takes longer, but lasts longer. Clout has a short shelf life. It expires as fast as the trend that birthed it. Freedom, though, it compounds. It grows deeper with every smart move, every avoided trap, every dollar that works while you rest. The hardest part is that you won't be celebrated for chasing it, at least not right away. There are no fireworks when you max out a Roth IRA. No viral moments when you drive a reliable, paid-off car. But years from now, when your life is defined by choice and margin, the same people who questioned your restraint will be asking how you did it. That's when they'll realize what the real flex was all along. It wasn't the watch. It was the time freedom. It wasn't the car. It was never needing one to prove you'd arrived. It wasn't the applause. It was the autonomy. And that's the turning point, when you stop building to be seen and start building to be sovereign. When you no longer need to prove you've made it, because your life proves it for you. Freedom isn't flashy. It's functional. It's flexible. It's final. So let them flex the moment. You're building the movement. The greatest flex isn't what you own, it's what you can walk away from. Freedom is created through choices, not applause. True wealth is about options, not optics. If you had full financial freedom tomorrow, what would you stop doing, and what would you finally start? Write down one financial goal that would give you more freedom. Take one concrete step toward it today. Chapter 11. Multiply or be minimal. He looked at his bank statement, steady growth, no drama. No flashy transactions, no surprise expenses, no late-night regrets masked as self-care. It didn't look exciting. But it felt like power. Years ago, his life was full of noise, purchases for validation, trends chased on credit, debt dressed as confidence. Now, his money multiplied in silence while his peace returned in full. That's the crossroads most people never see. You're either multiplying, or you're minimizing. There's no neutral ground. Every dollar is either building your future or borrowing from it. Every decision is compounding or collapsing. Multiply or be minimal isn't just a money principle, it's a mindset. A way of moving through the world with purpose instead of passivity. Multipliers understand this. They don't spend to signal worth. They build to secure it. They don't sacrifice tomorrow for a moment of performance. They invest in quiet wins that become loud results. They play the long game, not because it's trendy, but because it's true. The minimal mindset, on the other hand, doesn't just live with less, it becomes less. Less confident. Less in control. Less aware of the cost of inaction. People think staying still means safety, but in a world of rising costs and shrinking attention, standing still is falling behind. Multiplication happens on purpose. No one stumbles into financial freedom. It's chosen, crafted, fought for in small, daily decisions. Not just in what you buy, but in what you believe. Because multiplying starts in the mind, long before it shows up in your net worth. Believe you're worth building. Believe you don't have to impress to succeed. Believe your money can work harder than your hands. Believe slow is not weak, it's strategic. The people who multiply don't have superpowers. They have standards. They don't let culture dictate their timeline. They don't let clout steer the ship. They trade hype for habits. They focus more on their financial statements than their social statements. And as a result, they outgrow the game most people are stuck in. They don't become millionaires overnight. They become unstoppable over time. But that path demands choices. Do you really need that upgrade? Or do you need the freedom to choose your own path? Are you chasing admiration or stacking autonomy? Are you buying liabilities or building leverage? Minimalists shrink their life to fit their income. Multipliers expand their income to fit their vision. One operates from fear, the other from discipline. And the beauty of multiplication is this: it's never too late. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start where you are, with what you have. One habit. One decision. One investment at a time. Because the future doesn't respond to intentions. It responds to action. When you multiply, you stop asking for permission. You stop shrinking to be liked. You stop outsourcing your worth to trends and timelines. You begin owning your outcomes. You begin becoming the person your past self needed, and your future self will thank. The goal isn't to look wealthy. The goal is to become unshakable. So let others live for aesthetics. Let them perform for likes. Let them lease the illusion. You've got bigger plans. Stack. Multiply. Repeat. You're either multiplying your resources or minimizing your future, there is no in between. Multiplication begins with mindset and ends with ownership. True financial growth comes from consistency, discipline, and vision. Are your daily choices multiplying your freedom, or minimizing your potential? Commit to one long-term wealth-building habit today: invest, learn, build, or automate, and make it non-negotiable. Take care and be well.